The wind howled across the red plains that evening, carrying with it the cry of something untamed, something wild. Folks in the town of Silver Creek said she was more spirit than woman, the Apache girl who rode the wind. They called her Taya. Her eyes burned like coals in the dying sun, and her silence spoke louder than a preacher's sermon. No man dared look her in the eye too long, not out of disrespect, but because her gaze felt like staring straight into a storm that had lost its mercy. But one man did look, a rancher named Colt Ramsey. Colt had spent years in silence, his ranch empty, his wife gone and his horses restless as his soul. He lived far out beyond the cottonwoods, where the fences ended and the land forgot names. He wasn't looking for company and surely not for trouble. But trouble has a way of riding straight to a man who swears he doesn't need it. That morning, Colt had ridden down to the trading post, looking for a new hand to help with the fences. Instead, he found a crowd, men shouting, laughter sharp as knives. And in the middle of it all, a girl stood barefoot in the dust. Her hands tied, her eyes unbroken. "Half wild," one of them spat. "She don't talk, don't listen. Best send her back to the mountains." Colt didn't say a word. He just looked at her, at the blood on her lip, the defiance in her stance, the pride she carried even while bound. The men laughed harder when he stepped forward. "You looking to tame her, Ramsey?" One man jeered. Colt's voice was low and steady. "Ain't no man tames the wind." And just like that, he untied her ropes, threw his hat on the ground and said, "If she's got nowhere else to go, she can ride with me." That was the day the Apache girl met the lonely rancher. Two souls the world had already decided were finished. When Colt brought her home, the sun was falling behind the hills, painting the sky in gold and fire. The ranch dogs barked, the horses stirred, and Taya stood still, her eyes scanning the land like she was measuring freedom. Colt gave her space, food, and silence, the kind that says more than words ever could. For days she didn't speak. Not a word, but she watched every move he made, every horse he brushed, every fence he fixed. And when a horse bucked wild in the corral one evening, before Colt could move, she leapt inside. Barefoot, fearless, she moved like a whisper of wind, one with the creature, reading its heart before it knew its own fear. The ranch fell silent as she climbed onto its back. The horse reared, dust rose, and the sky itself seemed to hold its breath. Colt watched her ride. Wild, free, unbroken. It wasn't taming, it was communion. And for the first time in years, Colt felt something inside him stir again, something he thought had died with his wife. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was the memory of life before loneliness set in. That night, sitting by the fire, Colt spoke first. "You ride like the wind knows your name," he said softly. Taya looked into the flames, her voice quiet and rough like desert sand. "The wind raised me. From that night, something wordless began between them, a bond built not on words, but on silence, trust, and the rhythm of hooves against the open plains. But the world outside wasn't ready to let peace live too long. Whispers began spreading through. Silver Creek, the rancher who'd taken in an Apache girl. Some said he'd lost his mind. Others said she'd bewitched him. And one man, Sheriff Dalton, said she was dangerous. Colt didn't care much for the town's talk. But talk has a way of turning into trouble when men have guns and pride to feed. The next morning, Taya was out by the stream, braiding a horse's mane when Colt heard hoofbeats approaching. The sheriff and 3 riders stopped at the gate. Dalton dismounted slow, chewing tobacco like it was duty. "Heard you got company out here, Ramsey," he said. "An Apache girl?" Colt's jaw tightened. "She's just helping around the ranch." "Helping?" the sheriff echoed, spitting in the dust. "That what we're calling it? You got a wild thing under your roof, Colt. Don't come crying when she bites." Colt didn't answer. He just met Dalton's eyes until the sheriff turned away. When they left, the dust they raised hung heavy in the air, like a warning. That night, Taya didn't eat. She just sat by the corral, eyes distant, hands still. Colt walked up beside her, quiet. "They won't understand," she said finally. "Men like them never do." Colt nodded. "Don't need them to." She looked at him, really looked. "Why'd you help me, rancher?" He took a long breath. "Maybe I was tired of letting the world tell me what's worth saving." For the first time, Taya smiled. It was small, fleeting, but it was enough to light the night brighter than the stars. From that day, the ranch began to feel alive again. The horses grew calmer, the fences stronger, the silence lighter, and sometimes in the soft hours before dawn, Colt would see her ride across the valley, her hair flying, her spirit bound to nothing but freedom itself. But the peace was fragile. Trouble was riding toward them, fast and mean, with the dust of old hatred rising behind it. Because men don't forget what they fear, and in Silver Creek they feared her. Still, that night as Colt watched Taya by the firelight, he knew one thing for sure. He'd rather stand beside her and face every gun in the county than spend another sunrise alone. And somewhere deep inside, he felt it. That wild wind she carried had started to stir in him too.